So part 3, why it's a good thing to be in ego. Again, going from Pia Melody's Facing Codependents. Love her. And this is a great book. So she uses an example. I could just use an example. There's an anorexic who comes to speak with her, who is 80 pounds and is weighing 80 pounds and is 5'10" tall. And she is on the verge of dying, and when she looks in the mirror, she sees herself as fat, which is typical of that eating disorder. However, Emily is also at level B codependent and doesn't know what she looks like even when she looks in the mirror. And the same went with an obese man who came to her office who was 5'11" tall, and he weighed 265 pounds. And I'm sorry, Europeans and people from other parts of the world who are watching this, I don't know how to convert that to kilograms. I apologize. But just understand, one woman was extremely thin, the other man was extremely heavy. Okay. And he thought he was fine, except that he's not fine. But that his concept of both clients' concepts of their bodies were based on them not having any concept at all of what they look like. Obviously, that's really not a good thing. So if you can't distinguish that, and some codees who are also at level B, they look in a mirror and they can't focus clearly on their own face, or sometimes they'll see their abuser's face appear, or they think they look like someone else. It's like when you've been taught your whole life that you don't even deserve to have your own physical identity, that's a problem. And that's a problem that I have with the New Age communities as well, where everybody's always trying to transcend all of this. When in fact, your identity, it's not about who you think you are so much as it is basic, baseline things that need to be established. And if you don't have that, you have no business preaching to a bunch of people who are codependents and telling them that they're just an ego, because that's abuse. That's spiritual abuse. And I've had people who are very famous in the New Age world do that to me personally. They came in the guise of being friends, and they actually used me, and it was horrible, and I was really traumatized. And then the minute I caught on to who they were, the minute I knew something was fishy, and I knew something was wrong and something was up, and I didn't do exactly what they wanted, and I didn't kowtow to them anymore, they backstabbed me, and they even talked about me in the press, in the media, like about how fake I was. I was the false one, when in fact these people were covert narcissists. They called me a disinfo agent, and they're narcissists. They're all narcissists, every single one of them, and they prey on people like me precisely because we have empathy for people like this, and we don't know who we are. We're codependents. So it's dangerous, it hurts, it sucks, and it holds you back. In my case, years. It held me back. It held me back for years. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anyone. I certainly don't want that for myself. So these videos are kind of like a source of accountability for me as well, to remember that one time for several years that person was pulling your chain and they made you feel like shit. Oh yeah, right. I remember that. I don't need them in my life anymore. It's time for new templates and new models, right? According to all you New Agers out there, we're in a new paradigm, new templates. So why are you following the same dogma and the same templates? And God damn it, why is there an Ascension glossary? First of all those terms are nonsense. And it doesn't mean anything if you're still codependent and you don't even recognize your own body you can't even recognize yourself in a mirror. What does it matter if you're assured that you know, you're going to be with your twin flame and you're going to do this and you're going to do that? What does it matter? What happens? You meet up with your twin flame and you still don't know who you are. And you have no identity. I'm having the same ascension symptoms. I've had them for almost 10 years. It's not a competition. people get really like competitive with me about how spiritual they are, and they want to tell me how advanced they are, and they know like they know, and but at the same time they can't handle any other alternative outside perspective other than their own, and they get really defensive. And then they say they're not being defensive, but they are defensive. And then they block comments on their channels, and they block you because you say, well, you know, it's not an ego to want who and what you want. And in fact, you might want to explore that a little bit more instead of negating it and pushing it away and saying we're all sinners. I don't understand how that's ascending. It seems kind of regressive and fear-based and not loving yourself. And I just want you to love yourself. That's all I want for everybody. Because most people don't love themselves. And the people who, you know, are full of ego and really are grandiose, they really don't love themselves. They're the ones who love themselves even less than you do. So, we need to learn about what love really is, as opposed to meaningless terms that don't mean anything that get thrown around. And saying in ego, that's psychobabble. That's the exact definition of psychobabble, because it's lost its meaning. It doesn't really mean anything if you don't even know what ego is to begin with as a term. And I know you hate being in mind. You see, you're doing all these like spiritual bypassing. You're putting tricks and roadblocks up because you don't want to face yourself. Every time I say something, you want to counter it. I know how your brain processes, because I've been there. I was in the cult. I really was. And I got myself out. And I'm trying to pull you out too, if I can, just by making this video. Maybe that might help a little bit to jar you. Because you're constantly rationalizing when somebody's abusing you, and because you never had the chance to figure it out for yourself and to stand up for yourself, because you were repeatedly punished for standing up for yourself. So if I can be an advocate for you to stand up for yourself, that's great. Because then we'll really be ascending, and we'll really be getting to the 5D. And I know I made that video last week where I looked like I was on crack or something. But I actually made that video at 1:30 in the morning during a lunar eclipse. And I'm telling you, I get way out there with the lunar stuff. And then eclipses are just no fun either. I don't even know why I did that during that time, because normally I'd be hiding under the covers trying to sleep and just ride it out. But hey, whatever. I'm fine. See, 3D to 5D, 3D to 5D. Back, forth. I can do it. You can too. I'm fine. I'm not going crazy. I'm just, you know, it makes me sad when people really punish themselves and call themselves sinners and call themselves... We're not sinners. We're human beings. Please reframe that. You're a human being on planet Earth. You chose to come here, right? Ostensibly New Ager. So just be kind to yourself. It's okay. You give yourself permission to screw up, and then give yourself permission to forgive yourself. And I don't mean that in like a religious sense. I mean, you know, dogmatic terminology. I mean, just like, why do you have to be so fucking hard on yourself? How about trying the opposite for a little bit and just try it on for size, see how that fits. Just in conclusion, it's just, you know, I mentioned earlier that level B codependents, it gets so bad sometimes that they don't even recognize, they feel like a floating head with no body. And if you've reached that point, Pia says this is the very first symptom that makes a therapist aware that a person may be an incest or molestation survivor and have the memory of the incidents buried somewhere in their unconscious mind. And you need to figure that out, honey child. You need to figure that out. Because you ain't going to be helping nobody in the new age, the new world, whatever, ascending and flying off with your angel wings, being an angel healer, if you can't approach this information. If you fly away from it, first of all, you're probably in trauma. And you probably have a flight response, but that's a whole other video. And I understand, because I have that response too. But I had to face it. And if I can face it, you can too. And it's time for you to grow up. If you really want to ascend, you have to be willing to look at these things. And God bless ya. Love you. Bye.